Councillor Mlungisi Mabaso, thank you so much for your time. You are coming into this obviously as a member of council. What are your top 3 priorities for the residents of the city?
Normally, what happens in the IFP, we don't appoint mayoral candidates. Purely for one reason, that the organization should take accountability to the voters, not an individual. So our politics is not centered around an individual, but the political party take precedence. I'm number 1 on the list. Yes, I'm perceived as the mayoral candidate because
You're the first.
I'm the first in the list. But coming back to your question, the IFP in its manifesto, we've got 7 priorities that we have outlined, that we have presented in our manifesto. First one is that of good governance, where we are saying there's nothing that you can do if you are not running a good governance, a clean government, a transparent government, the government that accounts to the people, that is corrupt-free. So that's what we are saying, that the first thing that we are going to do is to make sure that we eradicate corruption in the system and within the officials, because it's not only the politicians that are corrupt, officials and the system. And there is nothing that politicians can do if then officials do not buy into the story of the politician. So that's the first part in terms of good governance, that we are going to eradicate corruption. The second part in that is that of a transparent system, so that residents are aware of what is happening and they are also privy to all the information within the system itself. And the next one is that of accountability, that you need to account to the residents. You need to go back and report to them. You need to tell them of the programs that are going to be implemented. You need to explain the challenges that might be encountered during the process of the implementation. So that is the priority to us, and it's something that we've been doing, and it's something that we will continue to do when we are given an opportunity. Even in the municipality where we are governing as the organization, you know, for the IFP, it's easy to fire the mayor, the mayor of the municipality, if the mayor does not adhere to the principle and values of the organization that speaks to good governance. So it is something that we have done before. It's something that we are going to do, and it's something that we will continuously do whenever we are given an opportunity. Then the second part is the issue of crime within our spaces, where we are saying as the organization we need to create employment. We have appreciated the program of Joburg 10 Plus, that thing, but it's not effective. You know, there is no visibility of police within the wards. So what the IFP is saying then is that there are young people that are not working within our spaces. Those young people must be given an opportunity to get employment through public safety, so that they become the full soldiers that will take and fight crime within our spaces. And we are saying that visibility of police must be done in a way that even those people that will be employed they will not be using cars to patrol the street. They need to walk around the wards, and they need to report in those watching each and every day, so they don't have to be deployed there. They must know that they are stationed into those particular wards. So that will tackle the issue of crime, and at the same time that will also create employment, because you've got 135 wards. So if you were to employ 20 per ward, then that means you will have more than 2,000 people that will be employed by the city of Johannesburg, as part of also eradicating poverty and dealing with issues of unemployment, particularly on young people. Then the other issue is that of human settlement, where we are saying the Department of Housing that is currently run by the IFP was able to pass the policy on service stands, so that we provide land to the people of Johannesburg, so that they are able to build houses for themselves. So the IFP is saying we need to expect that process, and we need to identify more land, and we need to do land audit so that we establish who owns those particular portions and parcels of land that are still vacant in Johannesburg, so that we acquire those land for the purposes of distributing to the residents of Johannesburg in a form of a service stance. And so in our manifesto, the party is saying, as much as we are doing the informal settlements upgrade, but they are saying we need to expedite that process, and we need to make sure that all the entities are brought in, so that when these programs are run, they are run concurrently. While we are doing packing of stands, City Power must do the installation of electricity. Johannesburg Water must do the installation of stand pipes. JRA must come and do access road. So they are saying in our manifesto, there must be collaboration. They appreciate that we have started that program, but they feel that there was no much of coordination of these entities, so that they work together in this program, so that they are implemented concurrently, so that when you are done, and you are not going back to put in other services. So that's another thing that they are saying. And the third point that they are saying in terms of human settlement is that we need not to focus on the peripheries of Johannesburg. We need to bring people within the inner city. They are saying the bad buildings that are within the inner city need to be converted into low-cost houses, need to be converted into social houses. And we have said to them, as much as it is not the Department of Housing that is running with the process, but JPC must be brought as a key role player in terms of acquiring properties on behalf of all the entities in the city. So the manifesto is saying that there must also be a coordination, a proper coordination, where then this building will be released to the city so that we are able to build in low-cost houses. As much as we need to invite private developers to come and assist in the space, but the city must also have a role to play in make sure that we provide affordable houses within the inner city, so that people are not does not stay far from the economic hub, which is the inner city, the traditional economic hub of Johannesburg. So, and in our manifesto, we are saying even if we were to take development in the peripheries of Johannesburg, but we need to make sure that economic amenities are also involved in the planning, because you cannot then expect someone to travel from Orange Farm just to get a bread in the inner city. So we are saying when you plan for a development, then there must be economic activities that are also aligned into that particular development for the benefit of the people that will be beneficiaries in that development. And the next one, the third one, is it the third or the fourth now?
The fourth.
Fourth one now. Okay, the fourth one is that of economic development, because we believe as the organization that local government has a role to play in terms of economic development, where through the infrastructure investment and infrastructure development, job needs to be created there, skills needs to be transferred there. So we are saying, as part of youth empowerment, local economic development, the companies that are employed to implement certain projects on behalf of the city, they must transfer skills to the people that will be employed within those communities, so that even when those companies have concluded and left the space, people at least within those will be able to get employment for themselves, because they would have acquired a certificate and the skill through those companies. And the organization is saying those hardwares that are operating within the spaces must be given an opportunity to supply material to those companies that will be implementing a project on behalf of the city. And in fact, it's something that we have been doing in the municipalities where we've been governing. The entities or the implementing agents, are given clear instruction to say source material within the ward. If then there is no hardware within that ward, then you can go out. If you are at Ulundi, for instance, the contractors, they are instructed to buy material within Ulundi. So if there is no material, then they can go to Durban and source out that material. Because if you are doing that, then that means that hardware within the area, then we'll have to provide for more staff workforce So that means they will have to employ more people within that space to assist in supplying that material into that particular development. So that is a job creation on its own within the ward. And we are also saying in terms of that, in empowerment, that the municipalities must be compulsory to provide bursaries for students and learnership. And we are doing that here at UJ. We've got a lot of students that are supported by Nkandla municipality, that are supported by Umthonjaneni municipality in KZN, in DUT, in MUT, in KZN, I know Ulundi and Nongoma municipality. So it is compulsory in the IFP municipalities that bursaries must be provided to students that wants to advance their education. So even here in Johannesburg, we want to make it compulsory that each and every year there must be a number of students that are given an opportunity to go and further their studies. And the last thing that we are saying, and it's something that we've been advocating for, even MMC Masugu has been great of assistance in the executive when we were fighting on the issue of job experience at the entry level. And we are saying we need to scrap that. Young people need to be afforded an opportunity to be part of the city of Johannesburg. So the employment that is open for young people in the city of Johannesburg must not consider job experience as the requirement, because no one was born with an experience. So at the entry level, you must be afforded an opportunity to get employment so that you acquire that experience for you to empower yourself within the system. So as for admin officers, project managers, your operations managers, we are saying no experience. And I have rejected those positions that were advertised, and I've told the department to withdraw those adverts so that at least they remove job experience as the requirement, so that young people are afforded an opportunity to get employment. So those are the main priorities for the IFP in the manifesto that we have presented to the people of Johannesburg and to the people of Gauteng.
You've given us a lot of practical examples there, Councillor, but just in terms of corruption and transparency and accountability, I'm intrigued to know how the IFP is planning to eradicate or make sure that you put transparency forward, people are accountable. Practically, how do you plan on effecting those changes if you do become executive mayor?
Well, the first thing that the IFP has always advocated for, even in our previous manifestos, it is there, is that of a specialized court that deals with corruption. The second one is that of, the IFP does not recycle officials and politicians. If there are allegations of corruptions, we ask you to step aside, they get to be investigated. If you are clear, then you go back to how am I put it this? We ask you to go back to a starting lineup, if I may put it in that way. We don't say because you have been cleared, now come back. You start the process afresh, because we believe that there is something, even if you are cleared, but then that means there is something wrong that was done in the process. Because we always say there is no smoke without fire. Absolutely. So the process, you'll have to start the process afresh in terms of you getting employment or getting a deployment. So we are very transparent in that. We don't recycle. And then the next one is that we normally allow the process to be transparent. We involve people in our planning. We involve people in everything that we do. If you look at how we've been governing as the IFP, there are always what you call road shows. We always encourage our mayors to go and engage with our people and to go present to our people the plans of the municipality, what is going to happen, and even the budget. We are not afraid to tell people the value of the project because we believe that they need to understand and they need to know that. So all in all, for us as the IFP to eradicate corruption is that your system needs to be transparent, the residents need to be aware of what is happening. But when there are elements of corruption, you need to act, and you need to act fast, and you need to remove those people that are perceived, whether it is perceived or it's real, but you need to remove them off the system until they clear themselves, until you establish and get to the bottom of the matter as to exactly what had happened and what had triggered someone to report that there is an element of corruption in the process. So those are the main things, and the specialized court to deal with the elements of corruption, because we feel that our courts, our judiciary system currently in this country, is not able to deal with elements of corruption. That's why you'll find that people are arrested and they are discharged, and the cases are struck off the roll and all those things, because we don't have specialized court that purely deal with issues of corruption, and it makes it very difficult for magistrate court and other courts in the land to deal with issues of corruption, because they are not specialized to deal with issues of corruption.
Councillor, if you do ascend to this highest office, what kind of turnaround time can your constituency expect from you?
Well, Johannesburg got resources. It's the biggest municipality in the continent. So you need to start immediately. I know there are plannings, there are a lot of things, but truly speaking is that Johannesburg got a lot of projects in pipeline that are not being implemented, and the system itself is not conducive. So you don't have to wait. Immediately when you get to the office, you need to hit the ground running, so that at least even the residents can see that you are in a business of changing their lives. So we are not going to wait, but of course we will allow procurement processes, because we will not tap into those spaces, and we're not going to flood processes. We will allow those processes, but we need to expedite processes, and we need to make sure that we put in systems in place so that when we want to implement certain projects, we don't get delayed and by the procurement processes. We don't get delayed by the supply chain processes. So those processes then will be put in place to make sure, because you need, in fact, for you to expedite processes, you need to have a dedicated personnel that deals with those processes, and that's what we need to do, because when the city wants to appoint certain contractors for specific projects, there are committees that need to sit, and you'll find that they do not correct because certain people are not at work, certain people are not available. So you need to have dedicated staff to deal with those particular things. You don't have to appoint someone that is busy somewhere and the other one that is busy elsewhere. So you need to have a dedicated people so that you are able to have a smooth running of things within your system. So that's what the IFP is going to make sure that it addresses, putting system and measures in place so that at least we are able to expedite all the processes that speaks to appointment of any service providers for the interest of providing services to the people.
Fantastic. Just, Councillor, before I let you go, what is Mlungisi Mabaso putting on the line? What if you do not, achieve what you've set out to achieve? If you cannot deliver on the promises that you're making to the residents of the city, what's on the line for you?
Well, we have never failed, so I won't even think about that, because we have never failed, and we are not here to fail. And we always make sure that we put measures in place. The IFP has always got, we always have plan B. We've got plan A and we've got plan B. So those, if plan A then does not succeed, then we always then employ plan B to come to the party and assist in the process. So we have never failed, and we have no intention to fail, and we are not going to fail.
Listen, that is good. I am all for confidence, Councillor. I love confidence. Thank you so much for your time, and we wish you very well on your mayoral candidacy.